Hi, I'm Katie from the blog Hearts Content Farmhouse, and today I want to show you how to make marmalade at home using blood oranges. This is a really fun wintertime project. I know canning is really more of a summer thing, but canning in the summer is terrible. It makes your house really hot. It's just gross, but canning in the winter is fun. It warms the house up, it feels cozy, and you're not as busy usually in the winter, so it feels so much more fun to can in the winter, and this is one of the few things that you can in the winter. And like I said, this is a blood orange marmalade, and it takes a lot of time because you have to let things soak overnight and drip overnight and things like that. But the hands-on time really is not that bad, and you get a really delicious sort of bittersweet marmalade at the end that I really think you will enjoy. So the only ingredients we need for this are sugar, blood oranges, lemons, and that's it. One word of caution: you can't substitute regular oranges for this recipe, and that is because blood oranges don't have hardly any seeds, and they don't have that really thick, bitter white pith. The white that's underneath the peel, they don't have as thick of a layer of that. And for that reason, we don't have to do much in terms of like straining out. We're going to use basically the whole orange, and that works for a blood orange. It doesn't work for just like a regular grocery store orange. So it has to be blood oranges for this recipe. There's plenty of other recipes for regular oranges. You just can't use this technique with regular oranges. You'll see why in a second. This recipe is sort of confusing when you see it written out, so I'm going to try to break it down simply here in a way that makes sense. The first thing we're going to do is make a lemon juice. Okay, let me back up. So there are three components to this marmalade. We're going to have blood orange juice that we've squeezed from the oranges. We're going to have the leftover orange parts that we've squeezed the juice out of. And then we're going to have lemon juice and then sugar. And at the end, we're going to mix all those things together and we're going to boil them and make jam. But before we get there, we have to separately make all of these parts, and it actually takes 2 days. So the first thing we're going to make is a homemade lemon juice, and you're probably thinking, why are you making me make a lemon juice instead of just buying lemon juice? And the reason is natural fresh lemons have a lot of pectin, which is a substance that is going to help this gel up and turn into jam. So we're not adding any store-bought pectin, we're just using the natural lemon pectin, and for that reason we have to make our own lemon juice starting with fresh lemons. So it's not a big deal, we're just going to do it. So what we need for this is just 3/4 of a pound of fresh lemons, which is about 4 medium lemons. And we are just going to cut them into little wedges, 1/8 of a size. Cut your lemons into eighths. Put them in like a pan of water, with water just covering them up to the top, and let that soak overnight in the fridge. And the reason we're doing that is because it just helps them release their juices easier. So that was day 1, not too hard. Day 2, we are going to take those lemons out of the fridge and we are going to start making our lemon juice. All we have to do this is put that pan of lemons on the cooktop and cook them for 3 to 4 hours. And the lemon juice is going to start thickening up and turn into almost a syrup. And that's how you know the pectin has come out of that lemon juice and it's ready to go. But what we're going to do, we don't want all those big chunks of lemon. We want just the juice. So we're going to strain it. I use my Greek yogurt strainer, or you could just use a metal strainer or a piece of cheesecloth, whatever. Strain out those lemon parts and let it just drip overnight in the fridge. So put that in the fridge. Lemon juice will be ready. The second part is we need to now prepare our blood oranges. So we cut them in half. We juice them. You shouldn't have to strain the juice too much, but if you see any seeds, go ahead and just pick those out. Cover up that juice. You should have about a cup of juice. Put that in the fridge. And now we have this other orange pulp, peel, all that kind of stuff. And we can use all of that for the marmalade. The only part we can't use is the end where you get that like hard little like button part. So you can either cut that out before you start and just pick them out now. So we're going to cut those oranges, those squished up oranges, into like little strips. They don't have to be super thin. Don't really worry about that. Just cut them into strips. Put all of them into another pot. Cover the pot with water and then let that pot rest at room temperature overnight. You don't have to worry about refrigerating it. Just cover up the pot and stick it in the kitchen overnight. And this overnight soak is going to totally take care of any bitterness that's in that really thin pith that the blood oranges have. And the reason we're doing it in this very long roundabout way is because if we didn't, we would have to get the rind off of the blood oranges and discard the white layer. And it is so much more work than just taking your time and letting that water soak do it for you. So I know it sounds super complicated, but I promise this is actually the easier way to do it. In the morning, we have our lemon juice that has been strained out. We have our blood orange juice, and we have our blood oranges. All we have to do at this point is combine everything into a big pot. Make sure you choose a pot with a lot of surface area. You don't want like a deep, narrow pot. You want something with more surface area, because what we're trying to do is thicken this, and we want all that steam and water to be able to evaporate easily. And then we're going to cook all of these things together and pour in the sugar. We're doing 5 cups of sugar. Sounds like a lot. It's really not that much. So when we start to actually cook the blood orange marmalade, it's going to take, we're going to start on high. It's going to take at least 25 minutes. Mine took about 30 minutes. And when it first starts boiling, don't stir it. Let it come to a boil. And then you can start occasionally stirring it. You don't have to stand there constantly stirring it, but give it a stir every minute or so to keep it from scorching the bottom of the pan. And what you're going to see is as it simmers, some foam is going to settle on top. That's perfectly normal. Just leave it alone for now. Let it keep cooking. And there are a couple ways to tell when your jam is done. The first way is you can just use a candy thermometer. What you're looking for is about 220 degrees. I shouldn't say about. You're looking for exactly 220 degrees. When the mixture is that temperature, it should be set. Another way to test it is to put a plate in the freezer before you get started, and then get a spoonful out, put it on the frozen plate, let it kind of sit there for a second. If it just runs off and it's really liquidy, the jam is not set. But if when you put that scoop onto the frozen plate, it sort of gels a little bit and you can touch it and it feels wobbly instead of liquidy, then the jam has set. At that point, immediately take it off the heat. You can just skim off any foam. You don't have to, but if it bothers you, go ahead and just skim it off. And at that point, it is ready to store. So this jam will keep in the fridge a couple weeks. I would recommend, I always just go ahead and can it because it's making a lot. I like to use little 4-ounce mason jars, which is a quarter of a pint. It's really small, but I like that because we can get through them really fast, and then we have a fresh jar we can open. And to process them, you would boil them in a water bath canner for 10 minutes. Since they're such small jars, it goes really fast. So that's my preference. You can also freeze them, and they will keep in the fridge by themselves for just a couple weeks. So I know it probably sounded like a big project, and it is a little bit of work. It's not something that's going to happen instantly, but it's worth the effort. It's a really delicious jam, and it is a great, fun project to do in the winter. So in the description box below, I'm going to link all of the supplies that I used, and I will also put a link into the recipe on my blog so you can print it out and do it later. So thank you for watching. I hope you give this recipe a try, and if you have any questions, please just let me know.